Our headlines today. New measures to tackle the sale of knives online. The crackdown will be known as Ronan's Law in memory of a teenager who was murdered with a sword bought on the internet.
That this would have been in place years ago, my son would have been here today. I genuinely believe that.
Concerns over standards of cancer care. Experts say up to half of patients might not be getting the right treatment.
Donald Trump says he's disappointed by Ukrainian complaints that they were excluded from talks between American and Russian officials.
But you've been there for 3 years. You should have ended it 3 years. You should have never started it. You could have made a deal. I could have made a deal for Ukraine.
Good morning. Household energy bills are forecast to rise again this April. Plus, I have an important update about how much gas and electricity firms can chase you for underpayments.
In sport, it's heartbreak for Celtic as they are knocked out of the Champions League by Bayern Munich. The home side scored late on to snatch victory in the final seconds of their playoff.
Get out of my pub!
40 years to the day since the first episode of Eastenders will be live on Albert Square. An organisation monitoring anti-Muslim hate in the UK says it verified a record number of attacks last year, with men targeted more than women for the first time in more than a decade. Almost 6,000 reports last year were confirmed as anti-Muslim reports, more than double the number 2 years earlier, and 40% happened online.
And let's look at the papers this Wednesday morning. And those talks between Russia and the United States about the war in Ukraine making the front pages of several papers today. At the Telegraph, they're reporting that Ukraine would need to hold elections before a peace deal is signed.
Well, the Times looks at different ways the UK could provide security guarantees to Ukraine as part of any deal. The paper cites a government source as suggesting there could be an air policing mission using Typhoon fighter jets.
The Metro focuses on Thames Water winning the High Court's approval to borrow a £3 billion rescue loan to keep it afloat.
Inflation jumped sharply last month, boosted by rising food prices, airfares and VAT on private school fees.
And the news that there has been that unexpectedly big jump in inflation, the rate of average annual price rises for goods and services. Now, it rose from 2.5% in the year to December to 3% in January, and that is the highest it's been for almost a year. Well, the Office for National Statistics says today's figure was driven in part by the rising cost of airfares, food and private school fees. Now, inflation is expected to go up even further when energy bills increase in the spring.
A major incident is declared in a village in Surrey after this huge sinkhole opened up in the high street. Britain's Emma Raducanu speaks of a difficult experience after a man is removed for fixated behaviour during her match in Dubai.
Detectives are investigating the fatal stabbing of a 20-year-old man in Hackney last night. Police were called to reports of a fight in Bodney Road just before 6 o'clock. A 25-year-old man and a 23-year-old man have been arrested on suspicion of murder. HSBC says its global head office in Canary Wharf will bear the brunt of a new round of job cuts as it seeks to cut worldwide costs by £1.2 billion by the end of next year. The bank hasn't said how many jobs will go, but it's looking to reduce global staff costs by 8%. 8 out of 10 first-time buyers in London will need to pay stamp duty from April, according to analysis by property website Zoopla. From then, stamp duty discounts will become less generous, with the nil rate band for first-time buyers reducing from £425,000 to £300,000. And you can find more stories on bbc.co.uk/London.